The four former L Corp Department Heads visited Calw in hopes of finding a lead on how to create a body for their AI Assistant Ange. They expected to find the holy site of Nestk's prosthetic industry, but instead were greeted with the scent of smoke, the sound of Christmas carols, and the sight of internal organs and mechanical parts hung from trees like ornaments. Merru ended up captured by one of N Corp's Mittelhammers, Greta, leaving the remaining department heads to save him. Although they passed the free rites and earned the N Corp Seals, allowing them to pass through, Merru was on the brink of death when they found him at Greta's mercy. The N Corp Inquisitor prepared to drive her nail through his eye. Prior antagonized her, while Miix freed Merru and Kai got the rest of the captives out of the combat zone, and the four managed to kill Greta and escape with their lives and the freed captives. Though their only lead on Ange's body is some notes Prior found in one of the burned down workshops. Department heads now find themselves in the RV, fleeing from Calw, and all pretty badly injured after those events. Speaking of which, you should all probably heal your willpower to your composure or resolve, whichever is highest.
Gotcha.
Absolutely. And our aggravated willpower, I imagine, stays, correct?
Yes, correct. You cannot heal your aggravated willpower, and all of your wounds are... I imagine Kai can do some rolls to patch up the wounds.
Those of you with just superficial damage, though, can heal your stamina rating.
Yes.
I was gonna say I think you also get +1 from Merru, but Merru is unconscious right now.
Yes, yeah, Merru cannot help you at this moment. Merru is not doing well.
Yeah, so just do some rolls to heal every pony?
Yep,
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh yeah, please go ahead.
I don't know why my brain... medicine intelligence. Medicine intelligence, yeah. There's not a DC on these, right?
Yes, I believe it's just margin.
Okay,
Yep.
sick.
There might be a difficulty if you were doing so without proper tools or equipment or in like a dangerous area.
Okay, sick. Should I say who these are for specifically?
Yeah, I would say...
You only need to make a roll for Prior, Merru, and yourself, I do believe.
Okay.
Yes,
Then...
Miix does not have any aggravated damage, and Miix can heal up. Mix's stamina is free, so Miix can heal all of their health.
Cool.
Nice.
Did you already heal Mix's willpower yet?
Yeah, it was just 2.
Got it.
Alright, then... Priors?
Alrighty.
Is that decent?
Prior will
Okay.
take that. He will
Sick.
convert that 3 egg to 3 superficial.
Wahoo. Okay.
That is how that works, right?
Yes, that is correct. You convert the egg to superficial.
Mary's like very badly hurt, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Like very badly.
Like 4 ag.
That's 4 successes, so that would at least convert all that egg to superficial.
Okay, then yeah, that.
Okay, so now I have 4 superficial.
Yeah.
Okay.
Which is much better.
Yes.
Yep.
Perfect.
All right.
And then for yourself to see if you can clear that superficial. Oof.
That's chill.
I mean, you could spend a willpower point and try and convert a point of willpower into some more points of health.
It was our willpower got healed to the composure amount, and
Yes.
health was
Healed
what?
your stamina amount. Your
Stamina.
amount.
Then yeah, I mean,
Though granted, Kai does
I
want
was
to
gonna
have his
say,
health tracker filled up for that extra damage boost.
yeah, I don't. Kai is not super seriously injured right now, actually, so I'll just heal that amount. It's fine.
All right. then it looks like that's taking care of everyone's willpower and health at the moment. So, I was about to say, I think Miix is the only one fully healed, and then I realized Miix is still missing willpower. So, you're all, not in great shape, but...
Our time in Calw could have gone a little cleaner.
And so I suppose I should ask, Kai, I guess we're starting with you, it looks like, as you're tending to everyone's wounds.
As last session ended, Kai has been taking care of Merru. Can I just talk about that?
Yes.
I mean,
yeah.
you know, okay, cool. Kai has set up a bucket of what was ice water. It's been, as you, I don't know if you've actually said it in the session, but it's very early morning now, and we left Calw at nighttime. So it's been a couple hours. It's probably, you know, it was ice water. It's probably now just a bit cooler than room temperature. But he's been periodically, you know, soaking, wringing out, and placing cool cloths on Merru's forehead, because, you know, usually after you go into shock after very traumatic injuries, you tend to burn up a lot. He's been checking Merru's temperature periodically, and he presses his cheek against Merru's forehead, mindful of the already damaged plates and prosthetics that are gathered in the corner of the bed, and grimaces at Merru's continued warmth despite all the cool compresses that he's been applying. And you know, after healing up prior a little bit, he says, I've been applying cold compresses for the past couple of hours, and he's still burning up. You know, I stitched him up best I could, but I'm gonna need you to reattach his missing parts soon, you know, to ensure his body doesn't reject any of them.
Prior is physically in the room with Kai, but there's like, you see nothing there watching you, and then a moment later, Prior seems to kind of snap out of his daze and pull himself to his feet and say, "Limbs, sorry, did you say something about limbs?"
It's just, you know, Merru, you know, I did all I could in terms of,
Right.
you know, just patching
Yes.
up what was...
Good work. Good work.
Mm. But,
yeah, most of them are damaged. I'll get to work.
Thank you. You know, I appreciate your help. I know that you went through a lot as well. I just, you know, it's... Yeah, I care
Time
about
is
you
of the
very
essence.
much. Yeah.
Thank you. Time is of the essence. Weakness is a luxury we don't have at the moment. We need to lock in. We need to make sure. He looks sort of at Merru, and his eyes soften, and then harden very quickly. We can't make a mistake like this again. I'll prep the prosthetics.
Thank you.
Good work, manager.
I try my best with what I have. Thank you for your support. Kai kind of just goes back to, you know, checking on Merru, sort of fretting over him in maybe a way that isn't completely natural. He's just a little awkward around Prior. And that's all that I was...
Merru, at this point, we'll say that a few hours have passed. You've all left Calw far enough behind. And you probably at this point wake from your unconsciousness.
No, Merru, he slowly begins to wake up. It's a very unfamiliar situation that he's in. He can feel this like kind of cold thing on his forehead, and everything's he barely has opened his eyes at this point. So everything's very blurry. He's not really focused. Like his eyes aren't focused on anything. Though he can tell that his whole like left side of his face is killing him, which is the side that his prosthetic eye is on. So that's all blurry. It's honestly his eye is kind of glitching out, and he's not 100% with it, as he's just waking up from a state of unconsciousness. And honestly, the last time that he's probably been like cared for by someone was when he was younger with his older sister. So when he's first coming to, for the briefest moment, he kind of forgets who he's been with this whole time, and in a quiet voice he just goes, Vienna? But then opens his eyes more and sees that the person kind of leaned over him is not his sister, but is Kai. And that kind of just starts bringing everything back of what actually happened. And his eyes kind of like suddenly like widen as he's kind of shocked back into consciousness. Still feeling very out of it, but he's now very much awake. And he tries to kind of immediately push himself up, forgetting his injuries, and then kind of he hisses and also kind of stumbles a bit because he only has one hand right now. He forgot about that, and he kind of falls back against the bed that he's laying in, but it's very clear that he's trying to get up.
Kai, obviously was rather shocked when he was checking Merru's temperature, and then he just felt him like kind of headbutt him, I assume. Probably not very hard. He's pretty weak. But clearly this, he's trying to wake up, and he sees this and he's like, "Oh my God, I'm so sorry. Can I get you anything? Do you want some pillows? Do you need to sit up? You've been out for a little bit. How are you feeling?" Not well, but,
Merru, he keeps trying to sit up. Eventually he kind of gets it using his one hand, though it does hurt his arm considering he has the plate on his arm that was taken off. So there is like his arm is kind of exposed behind all the circuitry that you can see. So it does hurt to sit up, but even though Kai offered to help, he does sit up on his own. And it's almost like he's not really fully hearing what Kai is saying. Almost like the words are going in through one ear and out the other. And he keeps kind of shaking his head a little bit and glancing around the RV, almost in like sort of a panic. Not complete panic, but almost like he's very startled and still a little feverish, honestly. But he tries to like swing his legs over the side of the bed, and he just goes, I need to the bathroom.
Yeah. Would you like me to, I can support you, and we can walk there together.
No,
I won't go in with you.
I need to. I can't be here. And he kind of stumbles. He finally gets out of the bed, and he almost falls, but he stumbles and stays on his footing. And as fast as he can, he kind of hurries over to the bathroom. Not like someone who like needs to use the bathroom, but someone who's clearly just trying to like go and hide. And it's very shaky. He's very shaky on his feet, but he's able to make it to the bathroom. He's not looking at anyone else. Nothing to him. No one else is really in this RV, but he's able to make it to the door and open the door, and then it just kind of slams shut because he kind of puts his whole body weight like his back like against the door to shut it. And then there's just silence.
Kai is bewildered, mostly concerned, and like obviously he didn't want to grab at Merru when he was running because he's got a lot of freshly done just like wrappings around him, and he's very injured and at least seemed cognizant enough to know what he wanted, but he probably walks up to the bathroom afterwards and like tries not to sound too urgent when he he knocks on the door, and he's probably like, Merru, are you okay? Do you need anything? Do you need water? Or anything to help numb your injuries for now? Or
There's a long silence, and then Merru eventually just goes, I'm fine. Which shows at least that he's starting to become a little more aware of his surroundings. He's clearly not fine, but at the very least, he's not delirious.
This really isn't the kind of thing that Kai wants to ignore, but, at the very least, Merru is cognizant. And he says, okay, could you please just, like, give me a shout if I can do anything at all? And I do mean anything. Please come out, soon, if you can. I don't want any of your wounds to open back up any worse than, they already are. I don't want you to hurt yourself worse than you're already hurt. That's all.
There is no response.
And, Kai, will probably sit nearby the bathroom door. Not, like, on the floor near it, but just in the vicinity, listening for any cues that there is a person that is alive and breathing in there, just in case Merru shouts out that he needs anything or hears, anything concerning. But that's all he's doing, yeah.
So Kai is sitting outside the bathroom door, where Merru has holed himself up in. Miix, you've been driving for a while at this point. What is on Miix's mind, and does Miix take a moment to stop the RV for a bit? Or does Miix keep driving? What's going on there?
I think Miix is driving for as long as they can until, enough time has passed. It has been like hours, right? Just on the road.
Mm-hmm.
Just kind of staring. And I think eventually they see a place should be safe enough for the night. They pull over to a more secluded area, go off-road a little bit, and just park. And they just lean back in the driver's seat a bit. They just think for a moment about everything that's happened, and they sigh, turn off the engine, get up, and walk a ways towards the main living area.
And in that area, you would see that bathroom door is closed. Kai is outside it, and I should ask, where is Pryor at the moment?
Pryor has sort of pulled himself to the side of all this chaos, and he is tinkering with Merru's prosthetics. He is trying to piece them back together, but he's not making very good progress. And it's not because he's struggling, it's because he's trying to do anything to keep his mind and hand occupied. He is moving in slow motion because the sound when the metal scrapes against metal, when he forces the end of one prosthetic screw into its hole. He is racked by pain, and he doesn't want to think about why that is.
Seeing all this, what do you do, Miix?
Miix will first walk up towards Kai. I look down. I mean, where is Kai? Is Kai just like standing in front of it? Is he like leaning against the door, or is he?
He's probably sitting on wherever the closest bunk is to the bathroom, because they tend to be like. I mean, if Merru managed to get there, how he is, then it's got to be like right next to the beds.
Gotcha. Miix approaches Kai and looks down and says, "So, how's he doing?"
Okay. Honestly, not. I mean, it's been hours, and he had a fever that, ran through the night, and then he, was mumbling something. I think it was maybe the beginning of a sentence or a name I didn't recognize, and he, just kind of threw himself into the bathroom the moment that he gained consciousness, and he told me that he was fine, but I don't think he's fine, because I tried the best I could, but he still has so many wounds across his body. He's not... He really isn't in a state where he should be alone, but I also really don't want to break open the bathroom door. I mean, you saw him. You were there just like I was. You were with him,
Yeah.
It was...
Yeah, well, if anyone deserves a little alone time, it's probably him. Thanks for patching him up. And
I mean, I care about him, and, at the end of the day, even if he wasn't someone that I considered a friend, that's a human life. I have to try to preserve it, no?
Yeah. You should probably get some rest.
Yes, no, sorry, absolutely. But, while you're here, while we're alone, could I talk to you, about something? Like, maybe a little bit further away from the bathroom door?
Miix thinks about it for a moment. And they sort of have an idea of what it's going to be about, but it's kind of no real dodging it at this point, and they don't really care to, so they just nod and say, "Yeah, that's fine. Do you want to go more towards the front?"
We're parked right now. Maybe more towards the back. I believe Mr. Pryor is patching up, or tinkering with Merru's prosthetics.
Okay.
Near the
Okay.
front. But yeah, no. And Kai will just kind of, I think we've kind of established that there's sort of a back area.
Yeah.
So
Right where the
we'll go
back
into
door
that.
is too.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. And Kai will. It's probably a curtain to open up, and he'll open that and lead Miix into the, illusion of privacy that is the back room of the RV. Are you... I know that you've been driving a lot. Are you in a headspace where I can give you some constructive criticism?
Miix raises an eyebrow. I didn't realize that was needed at the moment.
I'm okay. I'm sorry if perhaps I am wording wrong. I hope I'm not too blunt when I say this. I know that you told me that you were all right before. I truly do trust you, but your incredibly stark attitude shift since the night before we left for Calw, I believe. It's been honestly worrying, you know, from what you were before, from how terrified you seem to be in combat. And it's not that I'm not, I am grateful that you've been participating and that you've been, you know, involved in our conflicts, especially, you know, when you're a part of them. But you hit someone with the RV, and I heard you muttering something about me under your breath when you did so, and I feel like either I did something or I gave you the wrong message about what I would, you know, I don't want to be controlling or anything, but you know, you have had a very stark personality change, honestly, in an area where usually people change over time or something very traumatic happens, and I think I missed something and you don't seem to be doing well.
Miix thinks for a moment. They kind of lean against like the wall next to the back door, and they just look straight forward towards the rest of the RV and not looking at Kai, and they say, well, yeah, something happened, but there's not really anything we can do about it now.
Kai's been talking with his hands this entire time, like, you know,
Yeah.
like wild. Like I'm glad that you could tell I was wildly gesticulating as I was saying these things.
Yeah.
At that, he kind of like massages his temples a little bit because he's really trying to be a good communicator because everyone else in this RV is so god awful at it.
I think Miix sees that, and there's like a twang of like guilt in their eyes, and they also let out a sigh, and they say, I can tell you what happened.
Kai will take his fingers off his temples and he'll say, I would appreciate the honesty because I have been worried about you. Okay. And he, you know, turns his attention fully towards Miix. Not that it wasn't already, but, you know,
Yeah.
eye contact.
Miix sort of, they kind of like side glance, but not really fully meeting Kai's eyes. They say, well, that night we spent in the back streets after we fought, what was her name? I had a feeling that if I didn't do anything, I wouldn't last any longer. And I think someone gave me a hand. And Miix is trying to think of how to say this for a bit, but I think eventually they decide that well, okay, before I like decide whether or not Miix goes full honesty, like what is how does Kai look? Because is it like Kai is like just like at the like does Kai look like genuinely like exhausted and like trying to like find out what's going on? Like what's the expression? Yeah,
he was definitely a bit exasperated before. Once Miix goes into the "I didn't think that I would last," Kai's eyes soften in understanding.
Okay.
You know, he wants to know, and it's not just anger. It's really not even majority anger. If it's something that can be explained, it's everyone in this RV is doing badly, and Kai's just trying to manage.
Yeah.
Not control, just help.
Okay. In that case, yeah, Miix, sort of seeing that, closes their eyes and bites their lip, and then they say, I went out into the back streets. I found someone. They were in a lot of pain.
Mm.
Injuries were really bad. And I thought maybe I could help them, but I'm not you. I don't have any medical training. I don't know how to save a life, and honestly, I realized something. I realized out there, if I didn't hurt someone, and I mean, I've never killed someone before. I've never done anything like that. I decided that if this person was going to suffer like that, then I was going to help them. I was going to put them out of their misery. And part of me I think a part of me thought I could also use this to understand what I was going to deal with every day. I could see death that close. If I could stare at it and understand the gravity, then my doubts would be wiped away. So I killed them. And after I took that shot, it's like a veil has been lifted. It's not about hurting people. It's not about causing pain. When you turn a weapon on someone, there needs to be an understanding of what you're going to do, what you're taking away. You said it yourself, didn't you? A human life. So, I know that now. And I know how much people are suffering. And I don't want that for people.
At some point during Miix's story, his eyes kind of turned from, a quiet sadness to a bit more concern at this new worldview. But he, it's the kind of thing where he's like, I can't control how the people around me think.
Mm-hmm.
I can only try my best to be there for them and maybe guide them in the right direction. And
I will say, Miix does not mention anything about about Solemn Lament or the butterflies or anything about the immorality. Miix does not mention that. If Kai can like sort of maybe come to a certain conclusion with the corruption, then that's I'll leave that up to you to decide. But like that's Miix will not mention that at all.
Thank you. Of course, there's worry about that. I mean, Miix's appearance pretty drastically changed. And, you know, they've been extra broody lately, and then they had the super stark personality change, and now they've been executing people like it's a walk in the park, or like it's necessary, but instead, Kai will reach out, and if Miix doesn't shy away at all, he'll, you know, I wouldn't say like a hand on the shoulder, but more like on the you know, upper arm, just to kind of like, or give them a reassuring, like, you know, like I'm here, like rub on the arm, and he says, I haven't gone through what you are going through in a very long time, and so my frame of reference might not be perfect, but I want you to take care of yourself, and I want people to not suffer as well. I do understand that, but I also don't want you to lose yourself in the numbness that comes with taking people's lives with sometimes reckless abandon. And I'm not even to say, and I really don't mean to say, Kai's kind of scrambling. What you did in Calw with Greta, I think it was the right call for you. I'm not saying that you were wrong. It's just I think there is a weight of a human life that is a lot heavier on your heart than you may realize at first, and you shouldn't make yourself into an executioner just because you have come to the realization that you need to fight to survive. You're not weaker for refusing to pull the trigger. You're not necessarily stronger if you choose to. I can tell that you're not well, and I just don't want you to make things worse for yourself.
I appreciate it, but at this point, I've already thrown my lot. Besides, if I have to choose between that or being what I was, seeing how we are now, I don't think I can afford to give myself the luxury of going back to how I was.
Kai kind of sighs.
Look, I
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Miix like pushes himself off the wall and turns and finally like looks at Kai, and I think probably for the first time in a long time, Miix has looked not necessarily a long time, but just like considering everything that's happened, it feels like it. But it's the first time in some time that Miix sort of has that worried look that they had when everybody first left the facility. And they say, and there's a part of them that wants to say like that there is something different, and it is partially because of, you know, the trauma, but also the corruption that they've dealt with. But strangely enough, there's also part of them that doesn't want to share that. They don't know how other people will take that. They also, maybe there's a part of them that's a little scared that they'll try to stop it and take away what Miix considers to be the only shield left. But at this point, Miix sort of pushes those thoughts away and says, I'm not doing as well as I could be, but right now I can be strong for everybody here.
Kai, looks up at Miix and says, I appreciate what you want to do, and I know that this is the best way that you think you can do this, and for now I understand that is what you can do is the best that you can do. And like, it's not that Kai's afraid of saying I just care about you, but it doesn't seem to be received super well or very believed by some of the managers. I just want what's best for you and for everyone else here, and I don't. Just talk to me if if you're doing the best you can manage right now, fine. If there's a point where you don't think that you can hold what you're carrying, please just come to me, or Merru, or any of us, really. I don't want to lose the person that you were. I don't think you want to either, even if you think they're too weak to handle the circumstances that they're in now.
Okay. Kai?
Yes.
You... I'll try and help you out as best I can. You shouldn't be having to do this all by yourself, either.
Kai gives kind of a half smile, and says, thank you, Miix. There is something you could do right now, if you're not, just something passively, if you're not doing anything else at the moment. If you want me to get that rest that you say I need. I know you've been driving, so I do think that you need some time to decompress too, but Merru's been locked up in that bathroom, for a little while now, and if I'm going to get any shut-eye, I want someone to hear if you need something.
Yeah. I'll keep an eye on the others.
But don't be afraid to wake me if something happens, please.
Yeah.
And I think Kai is satisfied enough with that answer, and he's probably gonna pretty quickly pass out in one of the bunk beds.
Mm-hmm.
Kai, I imagine, is able to pass out, and Miix, do you decide to take your place outside the bathroom, or does Miix do something else first?
Miix sort of just stands there for a bit. And I imagine the area they're at is probably like more dimly lit, especially now that Kai's, laid down to get some rest.
Yes.
Lights probably mainly coming from the front side of the RV. And Miix sort of standing just in the back area. They kind of just stare over towards the front of the RV. They look over where Pryor is, and they look at the front of the bathroom. Not sure of what to do. Really, I mean, it's all kind of a haze at this point, but eventually Miix just manages to force their legs to move, and they make their way towards the front of the door between themselves and Merru. And they sort of look outside, and I mean, what time of day is it? Is it like night at this point? Is it morning? Like, how long have we...
It was sundown when you all arrived in Calw. At this point, it's probably close, I'd imagine, to like middle of the night, early morning. The sun hasn't risen yet. The only lights are probably, because I imagine you all probably closed the blinds of the RV to avoid any prying eyes. So the only lights are really like that, like dim green light from the signs above that's filtering in.
Miix just sort of thinks about something, and they sit down across from the bathroom and then just sort of sit there in silence.
All right, and inside the bathroom, Merru, how are you holding up in there?
It's a loaded question. So I guess like by now, Merru's been in the bathroom for a little bit. He had felt like that wave of panic when he had first woken up, and had just been overcome with the need to just get out and away from everything. And the bathroom was the only place like his overtired brain could think of. And he honestly, now that he's in the bathroom, he could barely remember hobbling from the bed to the room, but he definitely used all of his initial strength to get there, because once he got into the bathroom, he quickly slid down the door and sat on the floor against the door to kind of regain his composure. And he's sitting there for a while. He just feels, like bad, like physically. Like he's not like actively bleeding out anymore because Kai patched him up a bit. But he just feels like pained and sore now that he's awake. And there's like this buzzing in his head because he's very much feeling disconnected from himself and his surroundings. But eventually, after a while, he's not sure how much time he's sitting there for. Probably a decent while. He's eventually able to stop getting so caught up on that buzzing in his head, and he's regained enough strength from sitting on the floor that he's able to, using his one available hand, he's able to shakily stand up, and he just lets out a deep breath and tries to decide or figure out what exactly he's doing in the bathroom. And he turns his head towards the bathroom sink and kind of stares at himself in the mirror, just kind of taking in his pretty ragged appearance. You know, his face is flushed from his fever. He's not fully cleaned up from the situation in Calw. I would imagine Kai tried to, wipe away some of the blood that was on him, you know? But I'm sure it wasn't, like, completely, gotten. But he also finally realizes that his ego gear is still missing. He has no clue where that went. He doesn't even know if they got it. It could still be back in Calw, and he's kind of just down ego. But he doesn't really have the mind to care too much about that. He cares more about his prosthetics that are completely messed up. Like, his eye is intact, but it's completely glitching out. It's hard to see out of. There's even, like, little dead pixels on it that are just completely black. And the plates that he had on parts of his skin, they're gone. His prosthetic hand, like mentioned earlier, is still gone, broken. And even, like, the horns on his head that were, they're intact. They're in pain. The glowing on them is not as stable as it had been before they were in Calw, so clearly those had been tampered with at some point during his abduction, I guess you could say, with Greta.
You remember, I imagine a lot of what happened is a haze, but you do remember her poking at them and kind of twisting them a bit as if trying to figure out just what they do. This amusement in her eyes as she did so.
Yes, unfortunately. And I think he lets out a shaky breath and he steps forward and puts his hand on the bathroom counter. So he can lean forward and really stare at himself, and almost mournfully he murmurs, I still look like her, in reference to his older sister Vienna, because he hadn't really thought about it in a while, but every time he looks at himself, he is reminded of how much he looks like her. And she's been on his mind, since they got to this district and he learned that she was alive. And it's part of the reason why he even got into this situation in the first place. Because he can't stop thinking about her. As much as he wants to, he can't look at himself without thinking about her. And it causes memories of, a younger self, with his sister. Memories that he doesn't really want to think about right now, but they still keep, popping into his head from the recesses of his memory.
As you look at yourself, you keep seeing her. You keep seeing her. You keep remembering that kindness and love that she showed to you when you were younger. There's one memory in particular that resurfaces. You remember once when night was falling in the back streets and you had to get off the streets before the sweepers came. You had both ventured out a bit too far from home. And you remember your sister holding you. And you remember her touch. It's been so long, actually, since you've probably felt anyway. I mean, excepting Greta's, of course. It's been so long since you felt anyone's touch, and you can hear her voice in your head still, and the praise that she gave you, the way she spoke to you and said, "You're so brave, buddy. You know, I'm sure the Red Mist was scared too when she was growing up. You gotta be brave like her. Can you do that?" And as you're remembering those words of hers and that voice of hers, another voice begins to surface in your mind. And from where your skin was pierced by that nail, all over your body, you can feel that sting of pain again. Besides, it's just a tool pretending to be a human. And you feel a hand, even though there's no touch there, but you can feel the reminder of a hand brushing against your cheek. And the touch is gentle at the moment. And for a second you wonder if it is your sister's, before you realize how cold it is. And you hear that reminder once more as the image in the mirror warps. Instead of seeing your sister, there's another woman with white hair. You do quite a convincing job of pretending to be a human, especially the longer this goes on. But I won't be fooled as easily as you tricked the rest of them.
Merru, at the feeling of the touch, he definitely shivers a little bit. And the words are a cutting reminder of the things he endured that past night. And his arm that's kind of holding, you know, his weight up against the counter begins to shake a little, and he just goes, I don't understand. I don't understand anyone. What's wrong with me? I didn't ask for this. I don't want to be a machine. I just... And he keeps staring at his reflection, or also staring, I guess, at the reflection that is turned into the image of Greta, unable to look away as much as he wants to.
As you stare into the reflection, and you can feel your eye start to glitch again, even if she never dug it out with her nail as she intended. You remember her tracing the tip around your eye, sort of poking a bit in, as if teasing, ripping it out. As you continue to stare, there's a shadow that begins to form behind you.
When Merru sees the shadow, and his eyes, they widen a bit, and he goes, "You, Freyschütz, why are you back? I needed you, and you left me alone. You left. You can't just come back. Where were you? It's not fair. We had a deal. We had a deal." And as he's talking, he can feel his hand ball into a fist, because he's angry, you know? He's angry at himself for being stupid enough to get himself caught by those Inquisitors, by Greta. He's angry at Greta for exposing him to his inhumanity. He's angry at their Freyschütz for going against their deal and leaving him alone when Merru needed him the most. And he's angry at his sister too for having left him alone in the first place. And suddenly he doesn't want to look like her anymore. He doesn't want to look like anyone or anything anymore. He doesn't want to look at his reflection. And he just goes, it's not fair. I didn't ask for this. You can't do this to me. It's not fair. Get out of here. Go away. And then his eye glitches even more, and his vision on his left side flashes red as his anger boils over with a sharp crack. And when Merru blinks and stumbles backwards, his vision returns, and he's greeted with the sight of a completely broken mirror. There are shards that litter the countertop, and some that have dropped to the floor. And his fist is held up, shaking, and also now bleeding a bit. And he can't help but just stare at his fist as he figures out what just happened, because it was unintentional.
When your fist connected with the mirror, for a moment, it sounded like the sound of a magic bullet firing. You're left alone in the bathroom. But you can feel and hear, digging into your mind, this laughter. I don't know if you've ever heard Der Freyschütz sound so amused before. And the three of you outside the bathroom most definitely heard the sound of the glass suddenly shattering. How do you all react?
Kai has probably only been asleep for a couple of minutes, and he hears glass shattering, which means that Miix wasn't around, or in his head that means that Miix wasn't around, and he shoots up and, doesn't hear a yelp or anything, but, assumes the worst, and probably immediately goes and runs for, of course, bandages, but also, something to pick up, assumedly a lot of shattered glass, if that's... I don't quite know everything that... I don't think we have, gloves necessarily, but, just kind of is scrambling around the RV to grab whatever he can in the event that the bathroom door opens and he can, go in and rescue Merru.
Miix, if the bathroom doesn't open, then Miix is just going to try and slam into the door over and over again until it opens.
Thankfully, it doesn't take too long for the door to open on its own. And when Merru steps out of the bathroom, his face is pretty blank, almost dazed, but not completely. And he doesn't want to talk to anybody for obvious reasons, but it's almost like his feet are dragging him out of the bathroom on their own, and he vaguely is able to recognize that Kai and Miix are there, and in a quiet, kind of dull tone, he holds out his hand, holds it up, and just goes, I need a bandage. I'm
What
sorry.
did you...
I'm sorry. I need a bandage.
And Miix is about to go out and grab Merru, but manages to stop themselves, and then they just step back while presumably Kai is...
Yeah, Kai did go and grab bandages and stuff to pick up the glass. He is obviously a lot more. He's a little upset, that exactly what he thought. Not necessarily. Meru's going to go break his hand in the mirror, but that something would happen because Merru was left unattended, and he'll just kind of internalize it for a little bit, and he'll go and he'll grab some tweezers, and as gently as he can, he's going to, kind of hoist Meru's hand up, trying to gently cradle his wrist, because it has a stigmata in it. Even if it is wrapped, that's going to be sore. And he says, "I'm sorry if this stings," and he uses tweezers to start pulling the glass shards, the little glass shards out of Meru's hand before he, uses an alcohol wipe to, swab it so that it doesn't get infected, and wraps it. And he says, if you aren't comfortable sharing why you did this, I understand. Sorry. I just he's a bit exasperated. He's probably only slept like 20 minutes in the last, 24 showers. But I didn't spend the night patching you up and keeping your fever down in the hopes I didn't want you to go and hurt yourself even worse. Please look out for yourself.
I'm sorry.
Merru.
Hmm?
When Kai, because I imagine since Kai's taken your wrist, Kai's basically grabbing near your hand, right?
Mm-hmm.
When Kai does hold your hand, you are reminded of Greta holding that hand and cradling it. And those words telling you that you're a worthless, disgusting heretic who deserves this pain.
At that memory, his hand there's probably a light tremor going through his hand, and for a few seconds he zones out almost completely as he's caught up in that memory. And as he does that, his he probably kind of unintentionally squeezes Kai's hand just a little bit, and then suddenly releases his hold as he comes to again, and he just very uncharacteristically docile just says, I'm sorry.
And Kai looks at how defeated Merru appears, and he can't be mad at him. It's not even like, oh, look at the poor puppy dog. He feels so awful. He looks so awful. He knows he's been through a lot. And there's definitely some guilt about the fact that, they didn't get there sooner, before Merru was as badly hurt. And he just kind of shakes it off, and he's like, it's alright. I'm not sure that you're quite right of mind yet, and I just want you to be safe. And if Merru will let him, Kai will probably try to sit him back down on the bed that he was laying on before he ran to the bathroom, to encourage him to get more rest.
Merru will let that happen. He's not fighting back at all anymore.
Right.
And he'll, like very gently, by Merru's shoulder, sort of push him back. After he arranges the pillows so he's not quite laying down, but like, sitting at a bit of an incline. And, Kai will gently push him back onto the bed, and he will say, Do you need water or anything, or I'm not comfortable leaving you alone at this point. And he kind of like looks at his hand, not the one that's gone, but the one that he just used to punch a mirror. But I do want you to feel safe, and I don't want you to feel crowded. If there's anything that I can do that doesn't involve you running off again to make you feel safer or better.
No. There's nothing.
Can I stay here?
You can do what you want.
And as that's the best answer Kai's gonna get from Merru, he's just going to sit near the foot of the bed. Merru's being docile, but he's not a physical touch person, and Kai knows that. And he never has been, and he's probably less of one now. Everything he did before was, purely for the sake of making sure he wasn't running a super hot fever or patching him up. It's probably going to be pretty hands-off now.
And Kai,
Hmm.
prior as well, you both probably know that it's best to get those prosthetics back on Merru sooner rather than later.
Prior has been busying himself, and he's definitely become obviously aware of the commotion, but there are things Prior wants to get himself involved in, and things Prior is going to get himself involved in, and he prefers to simply accept the later. And as soon as he sees that Kai is just about finished up, he will finish bolting in the last of the broken bits of prosthetic, so it's at least in a state where when he reinstalls it into Merru, it won't fry anything other than itself. He looks over to where Kai is standing and gives him a nod that Prior is ready whenever Kai releases Merru into his care.
And Merru is probably in the most malleable state he could possibly be in right now, which is probably the safest for Prior to attempt to do such, not quite surgical work, but, reattachment. And a kind of gesture that, like, you can take over from here. You can, do what you gotta do. This is as good as it's gonna get.
Prior's worked with worse than as good as he's gonna get. So, with nothing else to stop him, he will approach Merru with his bag of tricks and sort of standing over Merru as he often does. He rolls his shoulders back and his eyes try and focus and sharpen in on Merru. Let's put you back together.
Merru, he looks a little wary, but at the idea of him being put back together, his eyes narrow in almost a grimace, and he glances away, but otherwise doesn't do anything.
There's a long, awkward moment of silence as they just stares down at him. We can do this on the bed or the table. Your call.
I don't know. Whatever's easiest.
Great, get on the table.
Okay.
Prior, not awkwardly, actually very absurdly, he just clears the table of junk. It's still dirty because Prior just had all of his cleaning equipment out on it. But, you know, all of his equipment is already out on it. And he points to it with, like, the same sort of expression that your tattoo artist might give you when you're paying for their services, but you're kind of starting to, like, chicken out of it.
Merru, he will... You know, he's very awkward as he puts himself on the table. It's a little awkward doing that with one hand, but he manages, and as he lays down, he tries not to think about how being laid out on a table to have mechanical parts put back into his body, how that makes him feel like just another piece of equipment. He tries really hard to not think about that, but it's kind of hard not to.
The second that Merru is down on the table, Prior begins to think of him like a piece of equipment, analyzing his every inch and trying to figure out, like one would a complex toy that you've broken in a fit of rage, how he can possibly salvage this. His brain immediately removes any personal feelings or abject empathy from his mind, which is very easy and something he finds a blissful release from his thoughts the last little while. Merru ceases to be a person and starts to become a problem, and one he can solve. An equation with a solution. A puzzle to which he knows what the box looks like. And with that disconnectedness, he takes the hand joint, looks it over and says, I noticed that the trigger finger was distressed from repeated uses. Did you want to keep the wear and tear, or do you want me to tighten it up?
I don't care. Whatever would be best.
Most efficient it is. I'll tighten it up. You might find that it is slightly stiff, I guess. You might feel like someone disconnected your finger and stuck a new one on there, but you'll adjust.
Okay.
I buffed out some of the damages on the plate, installed new insulation. I don't know who did your implants initially, but they didn't even sand down the edges, so I went ahead and did that. You should have less chafing around the abdomen. I might need to make an extra incision, though, to account for... you've gotten a little bigger since these plates were first installed. Do you want some leather to bite down on?
No.
Suit yourself. And there is this crushing, like, feeling of someone. It almost feels like Prior is grabbing your rib through your skin and then weaving something behind it as he, with just pure elbow grease, slots a plate that has now become too small for Merru's growth and sort of clicks it back into place.
Merru definitely wishes he took the leather, but he's not gonna say that. He does gasp out in pain, and kind of his bandaged hand kind of squeezes tight. Almost, his nails almost dig in to the point where it causes a new cut, but just misses it. Thankfully, it does not break the skin, but very clearly, for lack of a better term, hurt like a motherfucker. But
right.
He's been through worse, hasn't he, tonight?
Prior sees this, and while he does not acknowledge it in any way, shape, or form, he does sort of turn, and as he does, he pulls a few pieces of equipment out of his bag, and incidentally, stress ball, rather well used, sort of rolls its way onto the table and sort of just sits there for a minute as Pryor digs through his stuff.
Merru will grab that stress ball.
Seemingly perfectly well timed, Pryor pops his head back up. He's holding a wrench now and says, "Well, I really hope that wasn't too painful for you, because that was the easy part. Now we have to bolt it in place."
Okay.
Might help to talk about something.
Talk
Yeah.
to you?
Yeah, I know it's unpleasant, but I imagine it is going to be more pleasant than what is about to happen to your spinal cord.
My spinal cord?
Yeah. What? How do you think this appendix plate was latched into you? Or do you think it was just floating around in your abdomen? It has to be anchored to something. I mean, if it was just supported by your rib, if you shattered your rib, the plate would just fall out, and then, oops, all your internal organs are on the floor.
I didn't think too much about it.
Yeah, very clearly.
Yeah, clearly. I don't know what to talk about with you.
Yeah, well, if I knew that, I would have started more conversations with you, wouldn't I have?
Probably not.
That was always the part of my old life I hated the most, you know? And Pryor goes over to Meru's hand and starts, there's, the pain isn't instantaneous, and Pryor doesn't give a lot of warning when it's coming, and whether or not that is for the better or worse. He doesn't really leave to Merru to discuss, as he occasionally tightens a bolt, and Merru will feel the nerves in his hand and the nerves in the prosthetic align, and while it hurts, it at least removes any phantom limb sensations.
Well, that stress ball is definitely getting some use. That's for sure.
The little siblings all came to me. "Oh, Mr. Pryor. Oh, Big Brother Pryor. Oh, I scraped my knee. Oh, my internal organs are falling out. Oh, my brother is dead. Something, something, something." It was always they'd only come to me, and he sort of like grabs Merru. Like he reaches out to grab Merru by the face roughly, and then sort of pauses, and then like awkwardly then just like takes a light and shines it in Meru's eye. There's always something they wanted from me, but when it came time to just talk to them like people, they didn't have much to say to me, and I didn't have much to say to them. I was a resource, and they were much the same to me. An equitable arrangement.
Right. Mr. Pryor?
Yes, Manager Merru?
And he looks quite uncomfortable. Like he doesn't want to be talking right now, but it's almost like he can't not ask at the same time. Do you see me as a human, like a person, or do you see me as a like a machine tool thing? Do you, Mr. Pryor?
He is silent. He looks down. And there's not really, you don't see thought behind the eyes. It's not like gears are turning, but something caught in his throat. Like he's not quite sure what to say.
Mr. Pryor?
Do you have to be made of metal to be used as a tool? Does if I see you as a robot or not change whether or not I value you? Is your metal what makes you less than a man?
I don't understand what you mean.
I see you, Merru, as incredibly capable, highly competent, but I don't tend to see people as being machines or man or abnormality or anything else. I am something far less than human at this point, I'm sure. No one does the things I do for as long as I've done them and walk out the other side still calling themselves that. But I don't think if I see you as a machine or a human should make much of a difference. What matters if I see you as a tool or not. And I suppose when it comes to that, the question is, what has our relationship always been? You've come to me in very rare occasions where you need to use me for something. In return, I can't think of any time we've ever talked where it wasn't transactional.
Oh.
I guess my answer is, you are as much a tool to me as I am to you.
Merru, he's a bit quiet at that, because in his mind, he's probably a little caught up on what tool necessarily means here, because he's always, as much as he's had his issues with Prior, he's always thought of him as a person. So he doesn't really understand that whole idea of the tool thing. He doesn't really get it. So he's a little confused, but he also is feeling kind of stupid right now. So he doesn't really want to keep asking. So he figures that he has his answer, at least in Prior's mind. It sounds like he sees him as a tool, which wasn't the answer he necessarily wanted, but not an answer that he's surprised by. So he glances away and just goes, "Okay, I think I understand."
Is this, I think I understand, like you seen something I haven't, or is this a, I think I understand, like you're going to go check your thesaurus after we're done talking?
I don't...
I'm not a good man, Merru. My opinion of you should not carry weight. But if it does, I would implore you not to put your weight on how you should see yourself on how I see you.
I don't think I'm ever going to understand you.
Give it another 60, 70 years and you might.
What does that mean? Whatever. Pretend, I never asked. Pretend I never said anything. Just, I don't know. Put me back together or whatever.
Here.
Yeah.
I'm glad I put you through enough emotional turmoil that you barely noticed the physical trauma.
I think I've been through enough physical trauma today. I'm not really bothered by it too much right now.
Oh, good for you.
Thanks.
Did you know me before you met me?
Huh? Can I know someone who I've never met?
We came from the same back streets, right?
Yeah.
I hurt a lot of people I never met. A lot of sins I'll never be able to atone for. I was just wondering if you were one of them.
I mean, I knew of the middle. Too much, unfortunately. Probably not you specifically. I don't know. I don't really think too much about who you could have been before. It doesn't really matter to me.
And why did you hate me from the day we met?
It's there's I don't I don't know how to answer that. There's a reason. I just Can we stop talking?
Some
If you
people
don't-
are best left as a professional relationship.
Yeah. I guess so.
I'll put your parts back together.
Yeah.
I'll lead the charge when you need it. You can call on me when you need a big brother. And in return, I'll look for you when I need something shot.
I don't think I'll ever be calling on a big brother, but as long as you stay in your positioning properly next time, we'll be fine.
I really hope you don't. But you do. Everyone always does eventually. You don't need a big brother till the moment you don't have any other family left to turn to.
See, I thought you weren't a big brother anymore. Weird.
There's like a final like tension wrench as like Pryor suddenly snaps a bolt into place, drops the wrench and goes, done. And he walks right out the front door of the RV.
Merru will watch him go, and feeling much like a piece of machinery left behind, will slowly get himself off the table, and trying not to knock over any tools, any fellow tools from the table, and will walk himself back over to the bed. But before he sits down, he stops and he kind of looks to see if Kai is still around. And if Kai is Kai still where is Kai right now?
Kai, let's see. Kai probably honestly went to that back area of the RV if, because he, wasn't sure if Pryor was going to operate on Merru on the bed or on the table. But, he didn't want to be in his way. It's kind of, just as, he doesn't necessarily want to be interrupted while he's stitching someone back together. He understands that Pryor likely doesn't want to be interrupted while he's reattaching Merru's limbs. And, so yeah, he's probably just in the back area. Curtain might be a little bit open because it's not a privacy thing.
Merru will poke his head to the where Kai is, and he's looking a little better now that he has his prosthetics back in place. For the most part, I mean, there's still some parts of him that are unable to be operated on properly, but he'll take what he can get. And he just kind of goes, Kai.
Merru, you look, well, you look better. How are you feeling?
That doesn't really, that doesn't, fine, it doesn't really matter. I don't want to lay in the bed anymore.
Kai, gets up from where he's sitting, and he, I wouldn't say like runs over to Merru, but kind of rushes towards him, and he probably doesn't touch him because he's very injured. But he's like, yeah, no, absolutely. Would you like to do anything? Anything at all? I'm glad that. Thank you for coming to me and not being alone.
I want to be alone. I won't do anything. I just can't be around people right now.
I sort of deflates, but I'm grateful that you would come to me first. I will choose to trust you against my better judgment. Please don't do anything stupid again.
I won't. I just need to be alone.
Okay. Does Merru want to be in the back area where like Kai was before, or is it
He
like
wants
on the
to
roof
go
of the
back.
RV?
He wants to go back to the bathroom.
He wants to go back to the bathroom.
He does, because it's the only room that has a door that can shut with a lock. He just wants to
Alright.
be. He wants to be back in the bathroom, but there's no more mirror to smash. He's fine.
Okay. Where would you, just so that I know where to find you, where will you be?
Would you stop me if I went back to the bathroom?
Would you let me sweep up the shards of glass that are all over the sink and floor first?
Yes.
Then no, I wouldn't stop you.
Okay. Then that's where I'll go.
Okay. Kai's just gonna roll with the punches. Sure, why not? And I'm assuming that there's some kind of a broom or a sweeper or whatever, and he'll, quickly go housewife mode, and just wipe off the sink, kind of knock the rest of the shards of glass from the mirror, just so that none, fall and cut anyone, or are able to be used as a method of self-harm. He doesn't really know what Merru is capable of at the moment. He just wants to play it safe. And, after probably a good 10-15 minutes of sweeping and double checking and, clearing everything out, he decides that he's satisfied with his work, and he opens up the door, and he waves his arm in, and he goes, "Bathroom's all yours.
Thank you.
Please be safe."
Oh, Kai.
Hmm?
I made a bad suggestion with suggesting we go to Calw. In the future, you shouldn't ask me for suggestions on places to go. I've never been anywhere besides District 23, so don't ask for my opinion on those things anymore, because I won't give a good answer.
Kai feels a lump in his throat. I'm so sorry.
Why are you apologizing? You didn't do anything.
I'm expressing sympathy.
Oh, I mean, it's fine. It was a bad suggestion, so I won't do it again. So, don't ask me, 'cause it'll be disappointing. So, that's all. Nothing to feel bad about.
Kai could argue with Merru about this, I don't think that he thinks that Merru is in the right mind to be like, no, your opinions have value. So instead, he'll say, for what it's worth, I think we've all made mistakes. I still want you to say what you want, even if it isn't places to go.
There isn't much that I want, so, I'm going to go into the bathroom now.
Okay. And, Kai will step away from the bathroom door so that Merru can be a broody teen and slam the door shut and be emo about it.
Oh my god, he's a 24-year-old teenage girl. 23-year-old teenage girl, my bad. But yeah, that's all Merru's doing right now. Brooding.
God.
Miix, at this point, is fucking tired. Been up for way too long. Way too stressed. And I mean, everything's falling apart. I mean, Merru physically and emotionally has gone through horrible things. Briar's just going through the motions like a robot, and Kai is working himself to the fucking bone, just trying to glue everything together. Miix just decides to step out, try and get some fresh air.
The second Miix would step outside. The air, however, it is tainted almost immediately as a breeze brings a pungent cloud of smoke and the strong scent of cigarettes directly into Miix's face from somewhere around the other side of the RV.
Miix just frowns and decides to follow the smell, and I'm sure soon enough finds Briar.
He's found a discarded sort of ire. He's sort of like stacked it on top of a couple stray bits of metal, and he's squatted kind of down on it, just taking a long drag of these old-looking cigarettes. He might have scavenged them from Calw, or maybe just picked them up last time they were in the nest.
Are those really helping you?
Meditation was always a load of bullshit for me. Breathe deep. Feel the burning in your lungs. Used to be because I liked the pain. Now it's because I think I deserve it. We all have our vices. Don't act like you don't have yours.
You gonna finish up here soon? Cause
You want one?
no,
He holds out the pack of cigarettes.
I don't.
Probably a good idea. Don't want to take any years off your life, right?
I thought when we came out here you'd be a little more proactive. Feels like it's a little weird that you're just out here just taking a smoke break.
Well, look, there's not a lot I can do at this very moment. If you have suggestions, I have an open door policy. Alright? Calw was a fucking wash. K Corp so far has been a lot of same old shit we saw on the back street with a nicer coat of paint. And forgive me if my outdated knowledge of being a gang leader isn't the most applicable, going hoity-toity with these big-hatted long-panted motherfuckers, alright?
I just thought that, you were the head of the training team, kind of keeping your crew in check. When everything goes to shit, it was kind of your job. And, I'll admit it, you were good. So,
Briar clenches his lips tightly shut, and as he exhales through his nose, smoke pours out of them before he stifles a cough, and he tosses the butt on the ground and crushes it under his heel. And then he picks it up and puts it in a little plastic bag. Yeah. Well, to quote our fellow manager, I thought you said we're not managers anymore as soon as we step outside the facility. Interesting. Not even a pity chuckle?
not really.
Tough crowd. I respect
Just-
it though. And that's why I can't do fucking much, can I, Miix? You guys aren't my employees. You're not my underlings. You're not my minions. You're not my boys. You're not my brothers and sisters. You're my fellow equals. Which means I have to take every action in consideration of your thoughts and feelings on the matter.
Right, but I remember the prior from during the fifth trumpet, the prior who managed to, with his words, bring people together.
It's a lot easier to bring people together when there's a common enemy you can fight.
We kind of have common enemies at the moment. I mean, I'm just saying, I think it's just strange because sometimes you position yourself as a leader. I mean, you're damn well the closest thing we got to one, but it doesn't feel like you're... It doesn't feel like you necessarily see yourself that way either. But you kind of are. So,
I know I'm the leader. Alright, let's put that in the ground, in a bucket, bury that hatchet. I am the de facto guy who has the final say because I have the loudest voice. You all wouldn't have jumped any of the folks we jumped on our way here to K Corp if I hadn't roused your asses into actually getting out of the fucking van and doing something about it. I know the authority and power I wield, and I just figured, after the disaster, where we almost all died to that freak, half woman, half abnormality, that you all would have appreciated me being a little less aware of my position. Ask Merru what he wants every now and again. Ask you what you think is right. Pretend that this is a democratic system. I mean, I'm happy to go back to barking orders from the middle of the RV if that's what you're asking me to do. I will do that with absolute pleasure. But I don't think that's what you really want from me.
it feels like you've kind of been all over the place. I mean,
I have been all over the place because we have been all over the place. Miix.
and then what about... I don't think it's just that. I mean, there's something going on. I mean, what about that? What about the woman that we fought? Greta? Whatever her name was?
Yeah, Greta.
I mean, Look, I'm not saying that I knew you very well, but you didn't even finish what you started. You didn't... That's not... From my impression, it didn't seem like you were that kind of man.
Prior takes a few steps closer to Miix, and he doesn't touch Miix, but he holds his fingers out like he's going to poke them really hard in the chest, and just barely holds himself back and says, I always finish what I start. I'm a man who keeps my promises, Miix. You can swear by one thing in this city, one thing that won't change. It's that. All right? This, he points to the thorns on his head, held me back. You're right, I've been neglecting my duties. You think I'm not aware of it.
I think you have two roads in front of you, and one is either you step down and the other is do your job. Mick says, and they're just staring at Pryor, a little nervous, but still looking. I just think that...
Don't look at me like that.
Look, I
said don't fucking look at me like that. That's an order. You can turn your eyes to the ground or I can put your head there. Manager. You're fucking right. I neglected myself, and I thank you for this reminder. You all need someone to keep you in line, it seems, because you're getting a little too comfortable telling me what to fucking do. I appreciate this immensely. So if you want me to step up, if you want me to keep order here, you want me to keep things in line, I will. It's what I'm good at, and it's what I should have been doing since day fucking one.
Why does it feel like you're running away?
Because I left something behind that I have to go get right now, it seems.
You're not telling me everything. When's the last time you told someone everything? And like Miix is wide-eyed like a deer in headlights, but like they just keep staring, like chest heaving in and out. But when's...
You think we can't see it? Miix? That you're the one losing your grip? You think I don't see it? You think I'm a fucking idiot? Alright, come out here asking me to be a leader, cause you know you're not who you used to be. You're just like everyone else. You think you're asking me cause you give a shit about me? No, you feel yourself fucking slipping. You're going down the banister. You don't have L Corp to back you up. You don't have counselors. You don't have nothing. If you're prepping your own funeral, you came to the right man to make sure that the casket is well looked after. Alright? You're not my fucking therapist. You're not my fucking family.
I don't necessarily want to be, but I just want to understand.
Understand this. As head of the training team, I am taking control of this situation. You've done the right thing. And maybe right now, it seems like maybe... Pryor turns away from Miix and lights another cigarette. And just inhales so deeply, you are sure he swallowed the cigarette whole. And then a second later, you hear him spit it out onto the ground. This is the start of where I should have been a long time ago, Miix. You felt it. You get it. There's something wrong with me. I've been running away. The truth is, Miix, the real deep down dirty truth is, I know who I am. And I hope you figuring out who you really are doesn't break you. Because it made me stronger. And right now I'm gonna need that strength to pull the rest of you through this fucking ordeal we're all putting ourselves through. As much as I want to turn around and go back to my nice little comfortable cell with that abnormality who has at times been my ally, I can't do that right now because I made a promise to Ange. And I'm not gonna have her look at me the way you're looking at me right now, alright? She's gonna look at me with fucking admiration. She's gonna look at me with adoration, because I'm gonna do something for her that no one else but me could, because it's always only me who can. Do you understand me? It's always only me. So I'm gonna take control, and you're gonna listen. And if you don't, it's a long walk back to the facility. And I'm sure I can learn to drive.
Miix stares for a moment and then quickly dives for the cigarette, grabs it, and just whatever's left inhales and starts coughing. You're saying you're the only one?
Holy shit! I didn't think you had it in you, kid. And he pats Miix twice on the back real hard. Holy fuck! You could have just asked.
You're saying you're the only one who can do this, but that doesn't sit right with me. I still, and Miix, with the hand that's holding the cigarette, just like pushes it in against, like pushes their fist against Pryor's chest. I still want to understand.
Miix, you can feel Pryor's flesh almost churn as you touch it, and he grabs your wrist. If you'd like to contest him, you can.
No, Miix will let this happen.
He grabs your wrist, and a moment later, you feel this iron in his fingers. It doesn't move your hand. I'm the only one, because I'm the one who survived all the trials it took to get here. If it doesn't sit right with you, Miix, it's never sat right with me. I'm special. I'm different. And maybe you're special too. But it's gonna take you a long time to prove that.
And I'll do it. I'll do it. But
All right.
you have to tell me. We have to understand each other, because right now, you being alone isn't helping us. So I'll do it. I'll understand you. Okay? Okay? I can do it.
Pryor will reach out, will release Miix's wrist, and reach out and gently cup Miix's face with his hands. God, youth really is wasted on the young, isn't it? You're so fucking innocent. Don't be like me, kid, and don't try and understand me. But you've brought me back from the brink. I genuinely mean that. I am appreciative right now in a way that I don't think I can communicate, because I haven't laughed that hard in a fucking decade. You're a good kid, Miix. Just follow in my footsteps. And maybe one day I'll turn back and you won't be in my shadow anymore. And then you can go fuck off to wherever your footsteps lead you. But until then, I got you, buddy. You're in good, safe hands. Alright? Say alright. Say alright.
Miix looks at the cigarette and then looks back at Pryor. I'll understand you.
You know what? If that's what you want, I'll let you have this one. What's a couple slights between managers, eh? And he takes his hands off Miix's face, dusts off their shoulder, and pats them twice on the shoulder. Says, "Oh, take all the time you need." And Pryor reaches out to grab the cigarette butt from Miix's fingers.
At this point, acquiesces.
Don't smoke. Seriously, takes years off your health. You don't got years to spare. All right? You're gonna need every last single one of them. You don't know how many you have left.
One day, you're gonna tell me everything. And I'll tell you my story too, okay? Just promise me that if I can get to that point, that's what'll happen. Okay?
I've never made a promise I don't intend on keeping. So let me tell you this, Miix. And the day I acknowledge that you're special, yeah, I'll tell you everything. And he holds out his hand.
Miix slowly takes it.
One more deal. One more burden. One more promise to keep. Hold up your end. I'll hold up mine, alright?
Miix just stares at Pryor again.
Come on. Ugh, I hate this tension. I'm sorry I lost my cool. Alright? I'm actually feeling a lot better now. I needed a little relief. It's just feeling so pent up, you know? Just all that stress. Yeah. We're all good, buddy?
Yeah.
Ah, alright, pal. You take care.
And Miix begins to call out after Pryor. Pryor.
I told you not to look at me with those eyes. I'm not even turned around and I can tell. What is it?
I'm here for you.
Thanks. They're all here for me. For me, because I'm the star fucking attraction. They can't be here for anyone else. Nope. It's always fucking me. Always gonna be me. And Pryor takes a nice little walk down the road. Just him at the end, as he's used to it being.
You can't ever be alone. Not anymore. Oh, God. Oh, God. Oh. Alright. God damn. Sun's about to rise, huh? Should make something. Miix, eventually after they fell, the rest of the smoke from their lungs, they slowly make their way back to the RV, and they are intent on doing one thing, which is cooking.
Miix, you're able to make some food. Is there something in particular that Miix is making?
Miix is going to step over to their sort of small little kitchen they have in here and start cooking. Now, what ingredients do we have, Mr. DM?
That's right. I believe you all picked up flour, if I remember correctly. I'm trying to remember what everything was.
We picked up a lot of necessities. Some fruits and vegetables. We picked up some, basically a lot of non-perishables. And then Miix decided to get a bunch of spices and stuff.
Right. I think, would it be fair to say Miix might have gotten some eggs, maybe?
Yeah, no, definitely. Especially with
Cool.
the amount of chicken in K Corp.
Cool. Awesome. Hee chicken and K Corp. But in that case, Miix will make something simple. I mean, an egg sandwich is quick. Quick, easy, and thankfully with salt and pepper, tastes pretty good. So yeah, I think we just sort of see them grab a couple eggs. They're gonna make it enough for about roughly 4, just in case the others want it. I mean, eggs one of those things, thankfully, where even if you eat it cold, it's fine. It's good. So yeah, we sort of see Miix. And as they start to cook, for a moment, it's like there's a shift where we sort of see we're sort of closed in on their back, and like we sort of the camera pans from the left to the right, and as it like passes Miix's body and goes back to the right, we're sort of almost in like a different kitchen, and we see a small child who's sort of leaping up and down at the counter, and next to this child we see this older woman. She's got sort of starting to get gray streaks in her hair, fully dressed up, seems like a butler of some sorts. The lady looks down at the young child and smiles, and she says something, and we don't hear it as an audience, but points down to the little pan as she flawlessly just cracks open an egg with one hand, puts it in, starts to make them scrambled, and as she's turning it with a wooden spoon, she stops for a moment and hands it to Miix. And Miix, who, pretty obvious is this young child, grabs the wooden spoon, slowly begins to stir it. And they're holding it with like that sort of like, you see sort of young children grabbing like spoons with their whole hand instead of like, just with their fingers, sort of tightly clenched as they slowly stir it. And we sort of cut back to where Miix is now, in this tiny cramped kitchen, compared to the sort of very nice, much larger kitchen from their childhood. And they deftly scramble the eggs, add salt and pepper while they're stirring them. And as the eggs begin to clump up and solidify, eventually turn off the heat, they grab the loaf of bread and grab just a simple knife, sort of cut slices of bread out, and begin to put them down. Normally they would add condiments, although I imagine that the group doesn't have many, and simple eggs and bread is never bad. Maybe in the future, mayonnaise, ketchup, it works. But for now, Miix will make 4 different sandwiches, and grabs another knife and sort of cuts them diagonally. And they sort of think to themselves, they wish they had a side, some snack or something. But either way, they grab 4 glasses and they fill each of them with water, sort of place some next to a glass of water next to each plate. And they sort of look, and it's strange. They feel relaxed for a moment. It's a strange comfort, especially considering everything that happened, but it's something that Miix treasures. They sort of stare at the food for a bit, and then they think about something and they start to tap their knuckles against the counter, and eventually they stop. And then they sort of begin to steel themselves, and they grab one of the plates and one of the glasses, and they are about to step away, and then they stop, and then they put the glass and the plate on the table, and they reach down and open one of the cupboards, which is where they stash the stuff they bought. And they think about it for a moment, and they reach into the back of the bag of the spices and stuff, because they grabbed a few extra things just for idle comforts. It's something that they didn't really talk about because, well, maybe people wouldn't have been super big of a fan, all of that. But Miix grabs a straw and takes it out, puts it in the water. It's one of those colored straws from a little like party bag. And Miix grabs the plate and the glass again, and they walk over and stand in front of the bathroom door. They stare at it for a while, sort of working up the courage, and eventually they knock on the door.
There is a long silence, probably to the point where Miix might think that there's just going to be no answer. But slowly I can hear like the little click as the door unlocks, and then it opens like a crack, enough for you to see part of Merru's face, and he just kind of peers out the crack of the door and silently stares at Miix.
It's early enough. Sunrise. I went ahead and made some breakfast. Brought you a plate.
Oh,
It's like sandwich.
Merru's eyes drift down to the plate in Miix's hands, and they narrow a bit, and for a second the door, it shuts, which seems like a rejection, but then after a few seconds you can hear, and like a more of a muffled sound, the signals that Merru's taken a few steps away from the door. You can hear him say, "Well, door's unlocked."
Do I have your permission to come in?
Yes.
Okay. And Miix will slowly open the door and step inside, opening the door kind of with like their elbow. They're still holding the glass of water and the plate. And they step inside, and they don't close the door, but they, sort of start to close it a little bit with their foot, just to make sure it's not too open, considering how Merru's kind of preferred to stay shut off from everything else. Miix doesn't think that they would appreciate an fully open door.
Merru, he has made himself, I don't want to say comfortable, because there's nothing comfortable about it, but he has decided that the place he's going to be resting is in the bathtub of the bathroom. And so he went and he had sat back down in there.
Oh,
Can, I don't know, put it on the counter, do whatever you want. I'm
yeah.
not particularly hungry, but
Well, you should eat. You're not a machine. You're a person.
I'm not hungry.
Okay. Just make sure to eat. I'm not sure if this will stand up to any cooking you may have had in the back streets, but
Yeah, Backstreet's cooking is notorious for being really good.
well, nest style egg sandwich. Although I don't know if there are many differences between that and the back streets egg sandwiches.
We didn't
And,
we didn't have egg sandwiches. Not really. Some restaurants maybe, but
Well, I think you'll like it. And some water. Yeah, there's a straw.
why?
I figured maybe you'd prefer that.
Where did it come from?
I bought some.
Why?
It was a selfish thing, just for my own benefit, but it's there if you want it.
It's clear Merru wants to comment more on that, but
I mean, if you want to
he-
say something, you can.
no. I mean, the purchase is already made, so you can do what you want with your money.
If you don't finish them, just let me know and I can put them in a little bag and you can just have them whenever you want. Still good cold.
Yeah. Okay.
Hey, you know what? Give me 1 second. And Mick steps out for a minute or two, and you hear some rustling, and eventually they come back to the front of the door and they say, I'm stepping back in if that's okay.
Do what you want.
Okay. And they step inside, and with them, they have a blanket and a pillow. I figured that bathtub's probably not that comfortable and cold.
I've
So,
had worse.
Well, yeah, but these aren't going to get any use otherwise, so.
Really? Weren't you the one complaining about the mattresses not being soft enough?
Well, that's the
Figured-
mattresses. The blankets
Figured-
and the pillows are a different thing.
Figured you would have tried to use it to make the bed more comfortable for you. Because you care about that stuff.
Well, we can get some stuff in the future. For now, I want to make sure that you're comfortable too.
Why?
I want to help you. Just because. There's no real reason.
That's weird.
Maybe it's weird, but I think that's how things should be, no? I don't
Um,
come to you just because I need something. I'm just here to help. I guess. Here, I got you 2 blankets actually, and do you want me to just leave them on the floor? I don't want to make you uncomfortable.
Leave them. I don't need them.
You're taking them.
Then leave them on the floor.
You're gonna use them, right?
Leave them on the floor.
Okay. 2 blankets and a pillow. There you go.
Okay.
And Miix sort of stands there awkwardly for a bit.
Have you slept?
Have you? No.
I was kind of forced to. When
Well,
I
that's
passed out.
good. You should probably get some more sleep. It's still really early. Maybe after you eat. I know Pryor put back your prosthetics on, so.
Yeah, he certainly put me back together. You were driving, weren't you?
Yeah. I'll
So you
probably
should
get some.
sleep.
Yeah, I'll probably get some shut-eye soon.
Yeah, I don't want someone sleep deprived behind the wheel that can kill us if not driven properly, so you should
I'll,
sleep.
That's pretty nice of you. Thanks. I I'm sorry about
About what?
everything, I guess. I don't think I've done right by you. There was an old saying that I heard when I was growing up. You don't really know someone until you've been in their shoes. You really want to get to know someone and walk a couple miles in their shoes, something like that.
Person doesn't have shoes, then what?
It's a metaphor. You know, the whole point is you don't
doesn't-
understand someone until you've been through what they've been through.
Okay.
My point is I didn't really understand you.
Huh?
When you taught me how to use firearm, when I asked you to do it and all that, I wasn't doing it because of any niceties. I mean, I was just trying to use your experience.
Mm-hmm. A smart choice.
But that's not right. I don't want to use you. I'm not going to use you.
Why not?
Because you're a person. You're not someone that should be used. None of us are. We're not tools. Not for the corporation, not for anyone else. I used Magic Bullet in that fight. And I didn't get the whole experience, but I got enough to understand what you meant about being careful. What you've been doing. And if I only dealt with a fraction of it, then I can only imagine what you've been dealing with.
He was laughing at me earlier.
Was? Miix looks upset at that and bites their lip. Fuck him.
Well, I mean, this... I should have expected it. This is why I'm so adamant, as I'm sure you know now, about don't get yourself into a situation like mine. I can't stop you, but
What if
now-
there was...
Hmm?
Oh, sorry. You can...
Oh, no, I was just saying, now you've seen firsthand what prolonged exposure does to someone. It's not
What if-
good.
What if there was another way, though?
What do you mean?
I just... Look, You haven't had anyone else, have you?
What do you mean by that?
Just... I don't know about before the corporation, but ever since you've joined, you had someone who could understand you?
Of course not. Only one person can wield magic bullet at a time.
But what if we could understand each other?
Hmm.
What if... Look, if we're going through similar things, if we're the only people who can understand each other, you with Magic Bullet and me with Solemn Lament, doesn't that mean we can understand each other in a sense?
I mean, I see where you're coming from, but there's not really much more else to understand. I've already told you what you need to understand.
What I'm saying is, maybe we could lean on each other. Maybe we could rely on each other as friends. Maybe that's forward of me. We don't have to be friends right away, but just as a person to a person.
And you can tell Merru seems a little conflicted at that, and then he just kind of shakes his head a little, and says, "Let's end the conversation here."
I'm sorry.
You should get rest. You haven't slept much.
Ditto. As in, you should get some rest too.
Yeah.
After you eat, and make sure to use the blankets on the pillow.
What?
I'm here for you if you ever want to talk to someone who understands.
Okay.
You don't have to answer. That's fine. Just, I'm here. All right, I'll give you some privacy. And Miix offers a small smile, and then begins to step out. And before they do, they look back and say, "Oh, if you finish up, you can just leave your plates in the glass outside the door, and I'll clean it up."
Okay. Maybe next time, don't buy straws. There's no real need for them.
Yeah.
Or if you do, at least don't give me one.
Do you not like them? Sorry.
There's no need for them.
Well, sometimes life's better with the things that you don't necessarily need, you know?
No, I don't.
And maybe I could show you sometime. Just food for thought.
Still not hungry.
Well, maybe I'll try and learn some Backstreet's recipes. Maybe you could teach me them sometime too.
Go get rest.
Okay. Talk to you later, Merru. And that being said, they step out, shut the door behind them, and they go to the bunker. Their bunker, which is missing a blanket and only has a pillow, and they lay down and just close their eyes and eventually drift off to sleep.
Kai, Miix has fallen asleep in their bunker, and Merru still hasn't come out of the bathroom. You've noticed that Prior hasn't been back for a bit since leaving the RV. What do you do?
I may have heard bits and pieces of Merru and Prior's conversation. He wasn't in particular listening. He doesn't think that's his business. But he did hear Prior leave. And then he did hear, he spoke to Merru. And then he heard Miix go and come back. And it's been a while since then. And still no Prior. And while he knows that he's a very capable adult, this is also not that Prior would make a big name for himself or anything, or like make a fuss anywhere, but we are trying to keep a low profile, and that's, one of our own outside for a while. And he'll quietly sneak out of the RV because he sees that Miix is asleep and he figures that Merru might be, and he's going to quietly exit the RV and shut the door behind him softly. And look around outside to see if he can find Prior anywhere.
Absolutely. Immediately around the RV, there's no one, but there are footfalls. And there's this sound carried by the wind. It sounds like a rustling. Maybe it's whistling. But if it is, it's not very loud. It's not very good.
Kai will follow both the footprints and the whistling because, who else could it be? He honestly probably knows Prior's shoe size. And so it's a pretty good bet that, he's somewhere nearby if he can hear him. And, yeah.
Both do lead to the same place, and Kai is well familiar with not just the size of Prior's shoes, but probably the length of his gait, his stride, and you can tell in the speed he's moving that he was not running, but not quite meandering. They were purposeful footsteps. And the K Corp area is still a little wooded where we are, driving back. So among the trees, Manager Kai will approach to see Prior has taken off gaze, and it's folded very neatly on a stump of a tree. He's tied it around, the pants are folded nightly. He's tied the shirt of gaze around the trunk of a tree, revealing his bandaged upper chest as he throws punch after punch into the ego suit wrapped around the tree, turning it into a hard bark skin punching bag. His knuckles are already raw and red.
Kai, upon seeing this, when he went to look for Prior, there was an idea in his mind that he was going to mention some earlier happenings or ask questions, but when he sees the state that he's in, everything floods from his mind and is replaced by concern for someone that he cares for more than anyone else, and he will try to keep a wide, what's the word that I'm looking for? He will not come up by surprise to Pryor, as to not spook him and be the next thing that gets punched, because it looks like he's going very hard at it. And whenever he thinks that he might be within eyesight, he'll say, "Sir, Mr. Pryor?"
You hear the sound of exhale as he's trying to whistle, and his eyes snap towards you. All of nothing there, gazing out at you, and as he throws one last punch into the tree, it quivers slightly. He's still holding back. You've seen Pryor punch training bags harder than that, and he certainly punched you harder than that before. Straightening his back, and there's a crack as he rolls his shoulders. As he turns to face Kai, those faded, unmistakable brands of the middle run up and down in vertical, perpendicular, and horizontal lines across his chest, his biceps, down his arms, and cut off right about at the elbow. His eyes are dull, but sharp. Kai. Good to see you, buddy. Sorry. I know, I was watching the time. It, got away from me a little bit.
Kai is honestly a little bit, afraid of, Pryor's demeanor. Not that he'll hurt him, just it's been a very long time since he's seen him like this, and he's going to be very cautious with his approach. Well, I just wanted to, that's okay. I just wanted to check in on you. I'm sorry. I'm sorry for having other stuff on my mind lately, with Merru and everything, and I never meant to ignore you or do any bad by you, and I care about you. I worry for your well-being. Just I know that you are
Kai, you don't need to say 20 words to mean 5. You're forgiven. Water under the bridge. Alright? You're my right hand. You always do right by me in the end.
I think I made a bad call.
No? Don't worry. I'm here to listen.
I think I made a bad call in regards to you, and it's not. I think when I gave you that Ankafelon, I don't think that was something that the Pryor that I've grown to know at Lobotomy Corporation would have at all approved of. And I know that you asked, and frankly, I'd apologize if you were upset at me for not giving it to you too. It's just I wanted to be someone that you could trust and confide in, and at least in my own mind, I think that I failed that, and I want to do better.
I admit, I was surprised you gave it to me, but, see, you know what the thing about abnormalities are, Kai? They don't change. They represent one thing at one point in time, and that's all they'll ever be. Alright? I staggered myself. And that was good for me. It was good that I took a while, found a place I was happy with, and stayed there. But the city's moved on without us. I mean, we can't stay like the abnormalities. We gotta change, we gotta grow, we gotta adapt. And I admit, you saw there was a necessity. Alright, you didn't need me groaning and crying and sniveling and snotting. Just like Miix said, you all needed a leader. You needed me in my peak condition. You gave me the tools I needed to be the best version of myself I could be. Alright? Don't be ashamed of needing me at my best. I mean, what? You wouldn't prefer me at my worst, right?
Kai doesn't like disagreeing with Pryor. It's not that he never has. He's probably never vocalized it outside of very minor things, probably just like in paperwork or ways to go about doing the exact same thing. But he really tries to dig his heels in. I admire you as a leader. I don't think. I think that you've grown. I think that the person that I met, when I became a manager, I think that was a Prior that you felt better about. And I admired him more than as a leader, but as a person. I could tell that he was trying to grow and be better, and I don't think that better is an objective thing, but I think that he was trying, and I think that you still are. And I feel that I've failed at being someone that you can talk to, because I feel that you are slipping back into what you were and thinking that that's better, but I don't think that it is.
You know, if it was anyone other than you, I'd say, oh, stop looking at me like that. But, Kai, it's all right. Take a moment. Just breathe. All right? I can tell you're stressed. Look, progress isn't a straight line. All right, I know that better than most people. It takes a long time to be better. But Guy, don't judge a book by its cover. Alright, I might seem different. And yeah, I'm probably in a little bit of a bad mood after, everything that happened. But I feel this is just, I don't know, part of a healthy recovery. Listen, if this was like 2, 3, 4 years down the line, and I was still acting like this, alright, yeah, maybe I'd be a little concerned, but you're getting stressed over a couple days. That's a drop in the bucket. People don't just change just like that. Look, Kai, you know me. You've known me for a long time. You've seen me at my worst. I'm not anywhere near that. You gotta have a little faith. Trust your leader, Miix shook me up a little bit. Merru stirred me. But I think they were right about a few things. I'm at my best when I'm doing what I do best. I'm just gonna need a little bit of calibration to figure out where that best is.
I do trust you. I always have.
Hey,
I
hey,
always
hey,
will.
hey, 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 hey. If you trust me, that's all the words you need, right?
I care about you.
I care about you. That's why I'm gonna get you through this. That's why I'm gonna get all of you through this. That's why you brought me along.
It isn't why I would, but you're not. You're. I don't. You know, and you know, Kai can't really look at you know Prior when he's trying to like articulate words and feelings because it gets a lot harder to do so. He'll probably look at some of the bark that's been, you know, punched off the tree while he's talking, and he goes, I have a very hard time articulating exactly what it is that has always made me follow you, but it is not. It is not that I need a leader. I have never needed someone to tell me what to do. I have always been fine on my own. You were something else. I want to be around you. And I want to be around you more when you're trying to do things that don't just make you feel good, but make you feel good about what you're doing. And I think you want to do what's best in your mind at your core, but sometimes I fear that you're pushing yourself beyond your limits, or that it's like you know better than anyone that forgiveness can't always be granted, even if you atone for your wrongdoings, whatever. But you know, the mantra that you seemed to very proudly say, you know, with the rest of Lobcord, the, you know, face the fear, build the future. I liked the idea of the future that Prior seemed to have in his mind. And I don't know that it's the same future that you're building now.
Look at me.
And he will hesitantly kind of force his gaze to him.
Prior has never looked more like he's 6'3". In fact, he's probably looked never more like he's 10 feet tall. His face is unreadable. And every muscle in his chest is flexed. I respect you, Kai, and I care about you. My dream has not changed. People died in Calw. Merru was hurt in Calw. Because I wasn't at. Cousin? Merru has never seemed to shrink beneath your gaze before. He doesn't feel so tall. I need them to see me succeed, Kai. I can't have you looking at me like they do, okay? You get it. I'm trying so hard. Being soft didn't work. I'm not going backwards. I need to keep going forwards. And someone put a fucking wall in my way. Look at how bloody my knuckles are, okay? I'm gonna start bashing my head against it next, unless I learn to go around it. I have to be more than my limits are permitting me. Because on the path I'm currently on, Ange doesn't get her body. All of us die in these back streets. I don't save anyone in any way that matters. The precepts take over L Corp. The index. The ring. The middle. They close around my throat. And in the end, everything we tried to save crumbles. There are too many people who need me to keep my promise right now, Kai. And I am this close. I am this close. Losing it. But when I needed him most, one sin turned his back on me. Alright? It had its reasons. Just like I'm sure Miix and Merru do. But you're my anchor. You're my hand when both of mine are tied behind my back. At my worst, when everything crumbled, there was still you. And you never looked at me like they did. You believed. I need that belief from you right now, Kai. I'm gonna get better. I just need time. And I can't stand to feel your eyes in the back of my skull. You're just gonna need to give me a bit of time.
Kai does genuinely acknowledge that. He'll nod and he'll say, there has never been a point in time where I didn't believe in you. And that's not changed, and that will never change. I would go to the ends of the earth for you, and that's the only reason why I am okay with telling you when I am worried for you, but I'm not turning my back on you, and I'm not looking at you differently. I just care, and you're so strong. You're not infallible. I want to be able to support you in ways that I didn't before, be that because of my status in comparison to you or my behavior towards you. I'm sorry that people have failed you time and time again. I'm really happy you haven't lost hope in me, and I won't let you. It's just you're a leader, but you're not alone, and I don't want you to act like you are.
A leader alone is a man walking to his grave. I have been failed, but I have failed others. I have been wronged, but I have wronged. But I keep my word. Okay? I'm gonna change this city. You're gonna be right there beside me the whole time. Right to the end. You and me. To the top of the city and beyond. Back then, I was a bad man with too much power. Too much time. But because of you, here today, we can be good men. We can make this city burn brightly with the same fire I found by knowing you. If everyone had a Kai, then this city would be unbeatable. But since we can't give everyone that, we'll aim to show them what you and I can do. How about that?
I just want the future of the city to be built not in our image, but in the image of future generations. But if you think that we can do that, there's never been a question in me believing in you. So, I'll be your right hand.
Come on, Kai. You're gonna have to let me build one statue for you, alright? No, I'm serious. I mean it. I'll build you a statue when this is all over. We make something so that those who come after us can enjoy it. But we need to remind them that we're the ones who paved the way, so they have someone to look up to and be inspired.
You've inspired me time and time again.
I don't need a statue. I'm gonna be there when it happens.
Oh my god. Kai, dude does not think he can get through whatever he was trying to get through to Pryor. I don't know that he could, even in theory. And I don't think he wants to communicate his feelings of like lack of self-worth or whatever. So
listen, you're tired. I'm tired. It's been a long day. Sure, emotions are running high. We've all said things that we'll probably regret after a good night's sleep. Why don't we get to bed? Tomorrow, I'm sure I'll wake up, have a coffee, be a little groggy, put the stick back up my ass, and everything will go back to normal.
I will begin to nod at that and then pause and say, will you still talk to me even though I disagreed with you?
Absolutely
Will
not.
you
Privilege revoked forever. Never talking to you ever again.
Will you still trust me?
I think I still do.
And I will take that as an answer. Why don't you get Gaze back on, and we can go back to the RV. Do you want me to bandage up your knuckles once we're there?
Oh, it's fine. Time heals all wounds.
Whenever Pryor gets dressed, Kai will kind of begin walking back to the RV while, watching behind him for Pryor.
As Kai turns his back on Pryor. Finally got it. It really was just a matter of time.
Kai's blood runs a little bit cold. At that.
Pryor passes by Kai, his taller stature, longer footfalls. Kai will notice that the flower on Prior's thorn crown is beginning to wilt.
He's not done very well today. He's just gonna head back to the RV and try. Can I try again tomorrow?
Prior sleeps more soundly than he ever has. For once, he's not torturing himself in his dreams.
Are any of you still awake? I know Miix is asleep. I know Prior is asleep.
Merru's awake.
I don't think Kai's sleeping tonight.
I'm going to roll something quickly. Nothing happens.
Scary. Okay.
Don't worry about it.
Oh, I will.
There is a rap on the RV. The sound of someone knocking on the door.
I said no solicitors.
Merru immediately is on alert. He actually, what was going on when that knock happened is Merru was he had taken a couple bites of the sandwich. Because he was hungry. He lied. He was hungry as fuck. And he was just about to actually start using the pillow and blankets that he had been staring at. You know, about to give in, and then he hears a knock on the door, and he's back in full, alert mode. And he hops to his feet. Still a little, not 100% recovered, of course. But he makes his way to the bathroom door, quietly opens it, and, I don't know, is there a way for him to, peek outside?
I mean, Kai's also awake. I kind of figured he might have already walked into the living room because he's probably just in a bed, so it's a little bit less of a process for him. And if he, I assume he will notice Merru walking into the room with him and kind of hold him back with one arm and motion a shh, but be on alert.
Merru will nod silently.
And
Oh, please continue.
Are there curtain blinds on the door? Is there a window on the door that has blinded curtains or anything like that where Kai could get a peek outside possibly?
I'll say give me a wits awareness to try to get a peek through the blinds, because you all have I checked earlier, you all had shut the blinds, so they can't see in, but you can't see out either.
Alright. What's the DC?
DC 4.
Alright, if I crit.
It's okay, let me try.
Wait, did I hit medicine and intelligence? No, I'm stupid, sorry.
No, you hit awareness.
No, I was scrolled up for some reason.
What's the awareness?
No worries. Yep, wits awareness.
I got you.
Oh!
Thank you, Merru.
I got you. It's my job.
My goat. My aware goat.
Real.
Merru. You are able to see, at this point, the sun has come up. It isn't high in the sky yet, but there are traces of sunlight. There is the glow of the green of K Corp signs. You are able to see in front of the RV is a man. He's standing outside And behind him, there are a couple of K Corp drones that you can make out. He's got dark hair and glasses pushed up on his forehead. It's hard to make out many more details about him due to the blinds being drawn, but you have a feeling you know which corporation he works for.
When Merru sees that, he immediately steps away because he doesn't want to draw any attention to him trying to peek out the window through the blinds, and he'll just say, "There's a K-Corp stranger at the door with a bunch of drones. We don't answer that, do we? Because Merru, he's stranger danger. Opening your door to your what you consider your home to a stranger does not end well in the back streets. So he's naturally like, I don't care if they're from K-Corp. We don't open that door, do we?"
Kai is inclined to agree, except this is not a house. This is an RV, and we don't really have, like...
What if we get a ticket? Oh my, that's the thing that happens, right? Are they ticketing us?
There is another rap at the door.
They're ticketing us.
Okay. I don't know that is what is happening, but I don't think we can...
What if we're parked illegally?
If we're parked illegally, we'll pay the ticket, Merru. It's okay.
Oh, but that could have been avoided. That's a waste. Oh my god.
Hello?
Oh my god, they're talking to us.
You all hear the man speak up from outside. I know you four are in there.
There's 4 of us.
Okay, Merru, just...
Should I get magic bullet?
When Merru starts talking loudly, there's a sound of...
Oh, he's awake.
Guy, do we have any juice?
What do you want juice for? We're about to get a ticket.
We're gonna get a what? Why are you guys making so much noise?
You parked the RV illegally.
What? No, I didn't.
There's a K-Corp stranger with drones at the door.
Hold on, I'm coming.
Yeah, alright.
Prior starts like fumbling his way to the door, and it's very clear he intends to just walk up and open it.
No.
Stop him.
Oh my god, no, absolutely. Kai will redirect Prior to the fridge to get some juice.
Alright, okay,
Thanks,
let's just
Kai.
figure out. I mean, he knows we're in here. Let's just talk to him through the door.
There is another knock at the door.
What if they're dangerous? What if they're armed?
Well, it's too late. Hello?
Do you call out or do you open the door when you say hello?
Call out.
Call out. There is a sigh on the other side of the door, and you hear a voice that says, "I'm not here to cause trouble. I'm just here to deliver an invitation."
That's what they all say. Not here to cause trouble, and then they shoot you in the head.
Okay. You realize how early it is?
There is a silence, to which they respond, "It's only 8 in the morning. It's not that early."
It's pretty early, man. Like, you just leave whatever invitation on the floor and like, just you have drones near you. I mean, how do I know you're not gonna? What's your name? What did you say your name was?
Being clear enough. There's another pause, and then he says, "Samjo, from the Food Resource Development Department's Research Center, and I've been dispatched by K-Corp's director herself to..." And there is a pause here before he says, "Congratulate you all on your service."
Yeah, at this point, Miix is awake and just says, I'm not sure why the director wants to talk to us. We're just a regular group in our RV.
Probably because it's a scam. Probably stole that outfit.
Maybe. Let's just talk to him a little more. Look, I'll open the door if you send those drones away.
There is another silence before he says, I'm afraid I cannot do that. But fine. And he kind of like waves his one hand that seems to be holding something. Merru, you couldn't really make out what he was holding, but the drones do back away slightly.
Okay. I'm going to crack this door open. Would you like to come inside?
Inviting him inside?
No, thank you. And he hands you an invitation, reaching into his pocket and pulling out a letter that he hands out to you. And now that you have the door open, you can see the name card with K Corp's symbol pinned on his suit.
Okay, what the fuck does K Corp want with us? Would you care to enlighten us? Sam Joe, you said?
You have that letter, don't you?
Oh, come on, don't tell me you don't know.
I was simply here to deliver a message.
Look like a real shady guy, you know that?
Real shady.
He kind of like, when Merru pipes up at that, his eyes flicker to you, and then back to Miix. He just kind of sighs and just says, we'll be waiting for your contact.
Prior has like kind of woken up and he's got a cup of juice in one hand. He's not wearing gaze, so he's shirtless. As he walks up, he goes, "Gee, I've been awake for 5 minutes and you're already being so rude. Very nice to meet you. Thank you for delivering K Corp's invitation."
There is a look of relief on Sam Joe's face when Prior addresses him as such, although he instantly frowns when he sees that Prior is shirtless.
Is this a bad time to mention that Merru still doesn't have his ego gear and he is also shirtless?
I forgot that fact. Sam Joe looks back and forth between the two shirtless men in the RV, who
What are you
also
staring
probably
at?
look in horrible shape, and he just says,
I would have appeared more decent had I had more knowledge that I'd be greeting someone so early. I hope you'll forgive me.
Besides, you're one of those K Corp bastards. You probably already knew about all this shit we've been.
He like Prior does the world's most fake couple looking Miix in the eye. Don't shit where we're eating, Miix.
What if we say no to the invitation? Then what? What are you gonna do?
I won't do anything about it.
What will they do?
It would
Kill
be
us.
it does not matter because it would be incredibly foolish of us to deny such a kind and generous invitation.
Can the guy not ask a question?
Go drink your juice, Briar. Look, we'll read the letter.
But what happens if we say no?
Yeah, I'd kill us, I'm assuming.
All right, that's quite enough from the both of you. Prior actually kind of shoves by Merru and Miix, and suddenly his face drops. Mr. Samjo, thank you for delivering the letter. We very much appreciate it, and on behalf of
Oh, we don't.
our group, I will make sure that we are all in attendance. You can pass along our sincerest thank you, and I hope that you have a lovely rest of your day.
Thank you.
Change up your outfit, dude. Doesn't help your vibe.
I promise.
Especially the
they
glasses.
They are very competent at what they do, and what they do is not talking to people.
His
Neither
eye
do you.
twitches, and he says, I can
I'm
tell.
sure if you work in food and research development, you have all sorts of eccentric coworkers who you admire their creativity, but you wouldn't bring them home for dinner.
Says the guy wearing the crown of thorns.
Who makes the dinner?
I make the dinner.
You made breakfast. Don't get cocky.
Samjo is clearly just ignoring Miix and Merru at this point. And he just turns to Prior, nods, and says, well, I trust you'll handle them.
Oh, I always do.
No, he doesn't.
Yeah, he doesn't.
I deeply appreciate it. I'll make
No,
sure
he
to stay
doesn't.
in line.
Samjo, ignoring the chorus of no he doesn't, heads off with the drones. And you can see him take what looks like some sort of communication device as he's leaving out of his pocket.
Prior
Lose the
smiles-
shades. I mean it.
I
Prior
genuinely
smiles.
starts pulling Miix back.
Yeah. Prior smiles until the moment the door closes, where he spins and his face is the most strained smile you've ever seen on Prior's face, and says, I'm sorry, I thought I was the one in this group who was supposed to get us killed from doing stupid things.
Fuck off. You don't know how
I
to
was
drive
trying to
yet,
get
so you can't
information.
kill me. I'm gonna go to sleep. Wake me
You
up in like 2 hours.
Oh my god. Oh my god. Alright. Well, I'm glad. I'm so very glad that Lobotomy Corporation is back, because you all are acting like childish managers again. I suppose the second that Ange wasn't over our shoulders, you all figured you could finally let your guts out, huh?
Your sandwich is on the counter and the water.
I don't see what's wrong about trying to find information. I just
What
want to
is
know what
wrong
they do.
Is finding information by asking those questions. That would have been a perfectly fine question if you hadn't prefaced it with a denial of a request. All right?
Boy.
You could have simply asked, oh, Mr. Samjo, I really appreciate it. If we're not able to make this engagement, will there be a ability to reschedule? That's a way to get that information without implying
Right.
that we want to piss off the fucking corp whose nest we're in.
Right. Shut up. I have the letter. I'm gonna open it. Alright. Let's see what this bad boy says. Alright, and what does the letter say? As Miix reads it aloud.
The letter is an invitation to one of K Corp's buildings. It is for a meeting. They saw, through their footage, the heroic deeds you all did in Calw in saving those civilians. And K Corp wishes to thank you in person and hear what you have to share about what you witnessed there. And it is signed by the director, Alfonso herself.
And that's what it says.
Do any of
Okay.
you want to make me a wit streetwise? Also, sorry, not to cut you off, Prior.
Yes.
Please, if you have
No,
something to
Prior
say.
Prior just exhales with absolute exasperation. He does not make a roll though.
I will make a roll. What streetwise? What's
I
the DC?
cannot.
It's scaling DC. The higher you roll, the more information you get.
All right. Cool, I can do that. I got 5 dice.
God damn it, bro.
Actually, can I willpower this?
Yes, if you'd like to.
Why not?
I mean, frankly,
I
can
said
I
if you'd
too?
like to. Yeah, if you'd like to, you both
I
can.
was like, I have
Are
willpower.
you kidding me?
so-
I suck. Okay, whatever.
King.
Two's
I'll
better
go.
than nothing.
We have the same amount, damn.
We should have combined our powers.
You know what? Don't worry, guys. I've got this. This isn't a memory.
Prior
based
rolls
roll,
a
I
1.
mentioned.
Yes, this is not a memory check
Perfect.
roll.
Don't worry, guys. I've got this.
Ha!
Oh my god. Listen, two's better than nothing, though.
Kai Prior. That name doesn't sound familiar? You know that the director of K Corp has gotta be whoever's in charge of K Corp, but you don't recognize that name. Though you're not sure if it might be because you both were mostly on the back streets and not in K Corp's nest. Merru. With a 2, you know the same information those two do.
By the way, Kai
I
also
will-
has 2.
Yeah, I was gonna say I do also have
Oh,
2.
you also have 2.
Yeah,
That was
Wait.
my willpower
Willpower.
reroll. Yeah.
Oh, my bad. I
No,
am
you're
so
okay.
sorry.
I was gonna tell you after you said the Meru thing.
No,
I was gonna be like, do
I
we
did
have
not
any
notice.
different information? Or
Yes,
no,
no,
you're-
my screen wasn't scrolled all
You're
the
good.
way up to Kai's old roll, so I just saw the Kai willpower roll. So that was what Prior knows. Kai and Merru. You both know a little bit more. Merru, perhaps because of the fact of your prosthetics. Kai, perhaps because of the fact that you traveled around a lot more. You are both aware of the same stuff that Prior is aware of, but in addition to that, you don't remember when, but you know that this name isn't the name of who you thought was in charge of K Corp. It does not sound the same as the name you both remember having heard mentioned in the past.
I'll say maybe Merru knows that because maybe he had like a control team agent who might be from the district. Maybe.
Ooh, yeah, that would work.
Cool. So that's canon now.
Yes,
Okay.
no, that's
Um,
canon. This control team agent was here longer than you, and Alfonso was not the name that they told you. Was the head of K Corp.
Interesting. I think hearing the letter and knowing what Merru knows, he immediately like kind of pales and he goes, I'm not going to that.
I is more likely to be inclined to go.
I'll throw on something for free for both of you. You know, with 2 successes, and who this is. This isn't an invitation. This is an order.
Yeah, Kai's going.
Yeah. Merru knows is an order, but he feels like this cold, like fear, and he's like, I can't go to that.
Look, we have to. I don't like it any more than any of you.
I will add on one more thing.
Mhm.
Just a little common sense
Okay.
thing, not a role thing.
A common sense.
You
thing.
all
Ooh.
know that K Corp employee, no doubt, is going to be reporting back to whoever his superior is, who will no doubt be reporting back to their superior, and those drones were there recording everything. You may not have left the most favorable impression on K Corp.
Oh well.
I was just going to say to them, they better not act like they just acted.
Please continue. Those are my only DM notes to add to all of you.
Prior's face isn't buried in his hands. In fact, it's simply 2 fingers, his thumb and his index, pressed against the bridge of his nose for a moment before he drops his hands and says, "Okay. We are going to need to play this expertly. We can't run. There are drones everywhere. We need to make ourselves presentable. We can assume we have been spotted. We can assume K Corp wants answers from us. Here's a question. Does anyone think we actually have a real chance of running from this situation?"
Nope.
No.
Tell you what I know. I managed to get into some of those drones earlier, remember? Well, I can tell you this. I have first-hand experience dealing with K Corp's technology. It's not something that they take lightly. It's some serious shit. So,
It is
Chances
not-
of us slipping away unnoticed, even if somehow I manage to control all the drones near us, nil. Because for every drone I can take care of, 5 more appear in their place.
Perfect. Then the answer is set in stone. We will have to make an appearance and we will have to be on our best behavior. Miix, you are the most capable of handling nest-born affairs, so I would like you to take point, so long as we don't have a repeat of this interaction. Can I expect that?
That guy, I don't like, but a typical nestborn should be easy.
Very well. Very good. Merru, I am aware that you have a foreboding sense of evil, but can I trust you to understand that there really is no other way out of this? If you have another suggestion, I would be happy to hear it. I am not a fan of going to this meeting either, so please, I'm all ears.
No. No.
All right.
Nothing.
Then
We'll
we're
be
going to need to
okay.
trust you to have your eyes and ears out and be ready for anything. Can I trust you to do that?
You obviously can.
I appreciate your input, Miix.
Yeah, so that's all you need. Now
I
let's
need-
keep
No,
moving
I
and
need to hear it
get
from
going.
Merru.
Yeah,
will
get out of
not-
the way. I need to get to the car.
Prior
Whatever,
stands in Miix's way.
Just get going. Come on.
As I was saying, Merru, are we at an understanding?
Yes.
Good. He steps out of Miix's way. Kai, I can trust you to make sure that the social situation doesn't spiral out of control and be the eyes where I can't look?
Yes, sir.
Good. Thank you. We have an understanding, we have a plan. We are
I got
all
one of
the
those
best at what
things.
we do.
Uh-huh.
Lovely. The day started. Let's get to work, managers.
Yeah, whatever. Anyways, MX just turns on the car.
Prior
and
sits down at the
No, go ahead.
No, Prior sits down at the desk, pulls out some paper, and begins to formulate a strategy.
Merru goes directly back into the bathroom, locks the door, and walks past the pillow and blanket to go sit in the bathtub and stare.
Kai has been relatively quiet for this entire interaction, but he's going to walk over to Miix in the driver's seat and put his hand on their shoulder and lean in very close and quietly whisper, I need you to lock it up a little bit better than what you're doing right now. Please.
I've had 2 hours of sleep.
I know. We all have, some of us less.
Like me. I drive this goddamn thing.
I am sorry.
That's fine. I'm sorry I'm putting stress on you. But he took the wrong fucking lesson.
I know.
I'll do better next time.
Mhm. And if Miix is cool with it, Kai will sit in the passenger seat next to them.
Yeah. Mix does look guilty, but that's quickly replaced by drowsiness as they slowly back the RV back onto the road and start driving.
Prior's not a fucking idiot. He can hear them whispering up there. He knows it's about him. All of them. They're talking behind his back. He can hear it. He knows it. He feels their eyes watching him. No one trusts him. No one ever trusts him. Not until everything goes wrong. But they rely on him. Oh, they need him. But no one is trusting him. You're right. Yeah. Yeah, you're absolutely right.
And with that, managers, you're all headed to a meeting with K Corp. And that is where we'll end this Intervallo.